Welcome and good morning. Today is Tuesday, April 7th, 2026. This is our Administrative Matters meeting. My name is John Cafalas, Larimer County Commissioner, Chair Pro Tem. I'm joined by my colleague, Commissioner Kristen Stevens. Commissioner Shattuck McNally is excused this morning. Across the way, we have Lindsay Tracy with the Clerk and Recorder's Office, who does an excellent job of recording the minutes, both the audio and the transcripts, and taking notes. Lorenda Volker, our county manager, Tom Clayton, public affairs, and Sarah Martin with our administrative team. We'll begin our meeting as we always do, as is our tradition, with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Wonderful. Thank you all very much for participating. Our first order of business is public comment, and it looks like from the sign-up sheet, Deborah, are you here, Deborah?
Yes.
Would you come on up, please? So it would be the protocol is to introduce yourself, and you have 3 minutes to share what you wish to share. And welcome.
My name is Deborah Snyder, and I'm just here to plead for the county that we can do something about this speeding in this county. I think everybody in this room considers himself a law-abiding citizen, but it's a lie because speed limits are laws, and 9 out of 10 people on the highway are speeding, at least 5 miles over the speed limit. I live in northern Colorado, or northern Fort Collins, and the area just between Terry Lake Road and the bypass, 9 out of 10 cars on that highway every day is speeding. I've talked with the sheriff's department. I've talked with the state police. Everybody knows they're spread too thin. The chances of getting caught speeding are probably less than 1%. And I think it's atrocious that people there's absolutely a complete disregard for speed limits, not only in this county, but evidently in the whole United States, because I took a trip to Florida, and the same thing was, I was the only one driving the speed limit on the interstates. And I'm just pleading that somebody does something about that, especially on that stretch of road between Terry Lake Road and the bypass.
Thank you, Deborah. Do you have anything else you wish to add? There's a little bit more time on the clock.
No.
No, thank you very much for taking the time to be here. Let's see. Sarah, is there anyone who wishes to offer public comment virtually?
No, Commissioner.
Okay. And then before we close public comment, just give folks one last opportunity if they may not have signed up and they wish to offer public comment. I think I saw a hand in the back. Come on up, sir. Please identify yourself for the record. If we need help with the spelling of your name, and you have about 3 minutes to share what you wish to share. And then we also have the opportunity to respond to what we've heard at the end.
Patrick Erickson, Erikson.
Thank you.
And I just want to say that the trespassing law needs to be rewritten so the people on the other side of the counter can't kick out whoever they want because they know about the style the person is. And the cops, 2 sergeants kicked me out of 2 places when I called the cops on one person, and I got kicked out of the place on a verbal trespassing. And then the next place, another sergeant kicked me out of the place for reasons unknown. Eric, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who wishes to offer public comment before we close the public comment period? Okay, Then public comment is closed. And as I mentioned a moment ago, I'll ask if Commissioner Stevens wishes to respond to the two folks who spoke. Commissioner Stevens?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate everyone coming out to speak today. These are issues that are more in the sheriff's department. We can certainly let the sheriff's department know about these issues. I agree, speeding, and I do a lot of work in transportation. Speeding is is probably the number one cause of accidents, and so it is not safe to speed. And we are looking at ways to automatically sort of ticket people, and that can deter that. I know that the sheriff's office can also move around the automatic speed timer thing that also deters folks. But so we'll definitely pass on your comments to the sheriff, and maybe he's listening, and there's a deputy in the room right now, and so it's something that we're aware of that's a problem in the county, and we're doing what we can to fix it. But I will let them know of your concerns, Deborah. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. And I would echo those comments. We'll certainly follow up with the sheriff's office, and in particular, I think you live on County Road 19, and that particular stretch of road that you mentioned where there's a lot of speeding. That's an issue that we're dealing with throughout the county. As the commissioner indicated, we are working with the sheriff's office to look at some other ways of calming the traffic, of putting potentially putting speed cameras out that could help with the shortage of resources and staffing and deputies, patrol deputies. So thank you for speaking, Deborah. And to the other fellow, I didn't catch the first name, but I caught the last name, Erickson. Thank you for your comments. And we continue to work with law enforcement folks regarding, the proper way to deal with folks that are needing a place to stay, and making sure that resources are made available to those folks. So thanks to both of you. We'll move on. And the next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes. Commissioner Stevens, I guess you're the motion queen today.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to approve the minutes for the week of March 30th, 2026.
Thank you. That's a proper motion. I don't believe there's any discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passes 2-0. The next item is review of the upcoming schedule. Sarah, this one is yours.
This is the commissioner schedule for April 13th through the 18th, 2026. On Monday, April 13th, from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., Commissioner Stevens may participate in the Virtual Transportation Commission and Statewide Transportation Advisory Committee coordination meeting. From 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the Virtual Behavioral Health Consumer Advisory Committee, Policy Council, and Technical Advisory Committee meeting. From 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., there will be a work session regarding a possible camping and parking ordinance in the Commissioner's conference room on the second floor. From 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the Virtual Forest Health Council Leveraging Resources Committee meeting. From 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m., there will be a work session with Leslie Ellis, Director of Community Planning, Infrastructure, and Resources in the Commissioner's conference room on the second floor. From 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., there will be land use items with the Development Review Team. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be in the hearing room on the first floor or virtually via Zoom. On Tuesday, April 14th, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., there will be an Administrative Matters meeting in the hearing room on the first floor. From 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m., there will be Administrative Direction to County Management in the Sprague Lake Conference Room on the second floor. From 5 p.m. to 7:15 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Thompson Education Foundation and Thompson School District, Trailblazing Thompson, a Salute to Excellence, at the Embassy Suites at 4705 Clydesdale Parkway in Loveland. From 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the Environmental and Science Advisory Board meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be in the Carter Lake Conference Room on the first floor or virtually via Zoom. On Wednesday, April 15th, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally will attend the Colorado Wildland Fire Conference 2026 Rooted in Resilience at the Fort Collins Marriott at 350 East Horsetooth Road in Fort Collins. From 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., Commissioner Stevens will participate in the virtual Human Service Negotiations meeting. From 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the UC Health Community Health Benefit Public Meeting at the Embassy Suites at 4705 Clydesdale Parkway in Loveland. From 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the 25th anniversary of the 8th Judicial District Adult Drug Court at the Larimer County Justice Center at 201 LaPorte Avenue in Fort Collins. From 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioners may attend the Counties and Commissioners Acting Together All-Member Meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be at 789 Sherman Street in Denver or virtually via Zoom. On Thursday, April 16th, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally will attend the Colorado Wildland Fire Conference 2026 Rooted in Resilience at the Fort Collins Marriott at 350 East Horsetooth Road in Fort Collins. From 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., Commissioner Kafalis may attend the Housing Catalyst Board of Commissioners meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be at 1715 West Mountain Avenue in Fort Collins or virtually via Boardable. From 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., Commissioners may attend the Colorado Counties Inc. Steering Committee meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be at 1120 Lincoln Street in Denver or virtually via Zoom. From 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual Visit Estes Park Board of Directors meeting. From 3 p.m. to 4 p.m., Commissioner Stevens will participate in the virtual North Front Range Metropolitan Planning Organization Finance Committee meeting. From 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Loveland Front Range Passenger Rail Questions and Answers session at Pulliam Community Building at 545 Cleveland Avenue in Loveland. From 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the Board of Health meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be at 1525 Blue Spruce Drive in Fort Collins or virtually via Zoom. On Friday, April 17th from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., Commissioner Stevens may attend the Colorado Counties Inc. Board meeting at 1120 Lincoln Street in Denver. From 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., Commissioners will attend the Colorado Wildland Fire Post-Conference Larimer Community Impact Project's Fire Shed Tour at Red Feather Lakes area. From 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally will participate in the virtual Forest Health Council Legislative Committee meeting. From 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., Commissioners may participate in the virtual Colorado Counties Inc. Steering Committee meetings. From 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the Islamic Center of Fort Collins social event at 925 West Lake Street in Fort Collins. From 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., Commissioner Stevens will attend the Fort Collins Symphony at the Lincoln Center at 417 West Magnolia Street in Fort Collins. On Saturday, April 18th from 8:30 a.m. to 11 a.m., Commissioner Kafalis will volunteer in the 2026 Earth Day River Cleanup event at Odell Brewing at 800 East Lincoln Avenue in Fort Collins. From 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the Earth Day celebration at Odell Brewing at 800 East Lincoln Avenue in Fort Collins. And from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Matthews House annual celebration event at the Laurie Student Center at 1101 Center Avenue Mall in Fort Collins.
Great. Thank you very much, Sarah. Commissioner Stevens, are there any adjustments that you would wish to make regarding the next week's schedule?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I might attend the two events that Commissioner Kafalis is attending on Saturday, April 18th, the River Day Cleanup and the Earth Day Celebration. And that is it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would offer the following regarding the Tuesday, Wednesday, April 15th, the 25th anniversary of the 8th Judicial District Adult Drug Court. I'm also planning to attend that. And I believe, you can help me with this, on Friday, April 17th, I believe that both Commissioner Stevens and I are signed up for the van tour as part of the Wildland Fire Conference.
I think that was on
I
the
didn't
schedule.
I see some reference to Commissioner Shattuck McNally, but not the two of us.
Oh, okay.
So the two of us will be participating in a tour all day regard that's in relation to the Wildland Fire Conference. We'll be going up to Red Feather Lakes and other places. And there are more details we can provide, or I can provide. Okie doke. Anything else, Commissioner? Okay, well done, as always. I believe we can move on. Let's see. The consent agenda. So, the consent agenda is something that we approve the commissioners in mass. It is typically stuff that is administrative, not necessarily controversial. We do things around here that are not always controversial. So we kind of go through it quickly. If folks are interested in the details of what is listed on the consent agenda, they can go to the website and the packet is there. Today's packet is about 325 pages, which I think includes an important intergovernmental agreement that we'll be discussing. So, with that said, I should also mention, I'm going to go through this quickly. I should also mention that the commissioners have the wherewithal, if we choose, to pull something off of the consent agenda if needed. And if that is the case, then it would become a discussion item, and there would be a fuller presentation on that particular topic. So, with that in mind, let's see. Here we go. So the first category is abatements. There's one abatement. I won't get into the details. Then we go on to agreements. The first agreement is the State of Colorado Department of Transportation Intergovernmental Agreement IGA High Friction Surface Treatment on County Road 23 near Horsetooth Reservoir. This is between our engineering department and the county and the Colorado Department of Transportation. The total dollar amount is $77,000. The next agreement is an indemnification agreement, also from engineering. This agreement indemnifies, Larimer County indemnifies the Handy Ditch Company in the matter of reissuing shares of lost stock, certificate number, etc., 16 shares of the capital stock of the Handy Ditch Company. This is in perpetuity. We move on, and there's no dollar amount involved in this matter. The next is appointments. We have a recommendation for midterm appointment to the rodeo board, and that is Holly Spreitzer, a midterm appointment to the rodeo board beginning April 7th, today through December 31, 2029. The next item under that's appointments. Then we have letters of support. Letter of support proposed land exchange between the U.S. Forest Service and the city of Greeley. This is submitted by our Department of Natural Resources, and this has to do with, we have reviewed the letter. This is basically an exchange of land. The city of Greeley and the U.S. Forest Service are proposing a land exchange in the county and are seeking a letter of support for this exchange. Under the proposal, the city of Greeley would acquire 79-acre federal parcel located at the mouth of the Poudre River Canyon, in exchange for a 40-acre municipal parcel situated near the Kelly Flats campground in the Poudre River Canyon. So this is, again, preserving the land stewardship that both jurisdictions are committed to, and it makes sense. Moving on to the next category, liquor licenses. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 liquor license, and they're all mostly renewals, and one is a new liquor license that we reviewed approval. The next item is miscellaneous. Under miscellaneous, we have retail marijuana store license. This is a renewal of a retail marijuana store license, and this is regarding Choice Organics. The second item is also related to retail marijuana. This is a renewal of retail marijuana store license and retail marijuana cultivation facility. And again, this involves, in this case, we are talking about Power Botanicals Retail Marijuana, that particular company. Yes. Moving on, we have Item number 3, the demand for issuance of lost stock certificate to the Handy Ditch Company related to the previous item. This is a reissuance of the stock certificate for 16 shares, water shares of the Handy Ditch Company currently owned by the county. Then we have 16, I believe, stipulations, and you can read about all of those if you're interested. This is where there is an adjustment in terms of property taxes owed between the assessor and the property owner. Moving on to resolutions. The first one is a resolution to establish a temporary moratorium on data center facilities in Larimer County, Colorado. This is an extension, to extend the temporary moratorium on any proposed facilities data center to expire on August 25th, 2026. We had a public hearing on this matter February 9th. We did an emergency pause, and we're extending it, and this will give our community development planning folks more time to develop guidance, regulations regarding data centers in the county that might come forward. The next item is a findings and resolution approving the Mather short-term rental special review. We had a hearing on this on March 23rd, 2026, and findings and resolution is what we do to formalize the decision that was made at the land use hearing. Moving right along, a resolution reallocating the Larimer County Interagency Oversight Group and the Larimer County Office on Aging Advisory Council. So the commissioners, we periodically review county boards and commissions. It was determined that with the LICOG, or the Larimer County Interagency Oversight Group, and the Office on Aging Advisory Council, that the ongoing public benefit to these boards and there is an alternative and more effective way to engage the Larimer County Board of Social Services and the Department of Human Services staff. So the oversight will occur, but it's going to be in a different format that's more efficient and a better use of staffing resources. And that is item number 3. Number 4, findings and resolution approving the Mountain, Whitewater, and Paddlers Pub appeal. Appeal to Article 7 of the Land Use Code to allow more than 3 events in a calendar year and to allow more than 1 event in a calendar month. The public hearing for this was held on March 9th, 2026. Item number 5, we're getting there, folks. Resolution approving certification to the Larimer County Treasurer and of zoning violation penalties as special assessments for various properties. Our county attorney submitted this. The resolution certifies zoning violation penalties to the treasurer as a special assessment on the properties pursuant to Colorado Revised Statutes 30-28-124.5. And this is between the county and the property owner. Number 6, resolution regarding repairs, improvements, reconstruction on Owl Canyon County Road 70 on the Owl Canyon County Road 70 road improvement project. This is a resolution approving initiation dealing with right-of-way condemnation proceedings for repairing, improving, and/or reconstructing the Owl Canyon Road. So there's an effort between, I forget, maybe County Road 9 and 15 and maybe 17 to widen County Road and make it safer and put in some traffic calming features. And this is between the county and a particular landowner up there. Number 7, resolution regarding, this is similar, regarding, as I stated earlier, and this is also condemnation proceedings for what I mentioned earlier, but this is between the county and the Wellington Operating Company. Again, all of that is related to the Owl Canyon Road Improvement Project. Well, surprise, surprise, that's it. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Commissioner Stevens, are there any of these items that you wish to remove from the consent agenda?
No, Mr. Chair, I don't.
Okay, nor I. Therefore, please offer the motion.
Yes, I move to approve the consent agenda for April 7th, 2026.
Thank you. Indeed, a proper motion. Any comments, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passes 2-0. Next item on the agenda, commissioners, guests. We don't have any particular guests, although there are various folks here for some of the proclamations. Thank you all from our planning and county attorney's office and engineering who are now exiting stage left. The first discussion item. This is a proclamation to declare April 6th to the 12th, 2026 as National Public Health Week in Larimer County. And I believe we have our esteemed Public Health Director and his wonderful team here to present that. Welcome.
Yes. Good morning, Commissioners and County Manager Volker. And thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. I have members of our leadership team here today. You know, this is an exciting time of year to celebrate public health. When we get the opportunity to recognize the work that often goes on behind the scenes that impacts everyone's lives every day. You know, after all, public health is one of the few fields where if you're doing your job really well, nothing happens. No outbreaks, no emergencies, and somehow that's still a success worth celebrating, even if it doesn't always make for the most thrilling headlines. As a part of National Public Health Week, this year's theme is Ready, Set, Go. Action. The message is simple. Healthy communities don't happen by accident. They happen when you prepare, build strong systems, and take action together. It is also a great opportunity to reflect on the history of public health in Larimer County and the vital leadership that has molded it over the years. Larimer County's public health efforts have a long history, beginning in the early 1920s. Originally called sanitarians, they're the predecessors to the environmental health specialists. Back then they focused on food safety, inspecting restaurants and wastewater and drinking water, looking at septic systems back then. Public health nurses began their essential work and journey near the same time, offering services like vaccinations and tuberculosis clinics as early as the 1920s and 1940s. However, it wasn't until February 27, 1968 that the Board of County Commissioners formally established the Larimer County Department of Health and Environment and appointed the first Board of Health. As you all know, the Board of Health is the governing authority over the health department. This decision created the foundation of the work we continue today. Since Larimer County Department of Health's founding 57 years ago, there have been only 4 appointed public health directors. That level of leadership continuity is quite rare and reflects not only the strength of those individuals, but also the consistent support and partnership from the Larimer County Board of Health, the Board of County Commissioners, and Larimer County Administration. The theme Ready, Set, Action perfectly embodies that partnership. I will now hand it over to Andrea, who will discuss the ready aspect of the theme.
Thanks, Tom.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Andrea Clement Johnson. I'm the Deputy Public Health Director. The concept of ready really means understanding the health needs of the community and being prepared to respond. For us, this includes analyzing public health data to identify emerging issues, preparing for emergencies, monitoring communicable diseases, and recognizing how social factors like housing stability, access to nutritious foods, and social connection affect well-being. Being ready also means ensuring our workforce, partners, and systems can respond efficiently both to everyday public health needs and unexpected challenges. I'll now invite Bob to come up and share some information about the SET aspect and how that applies to our work. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrea.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bob McDonald, Director of Environmental Health Services. SET actually refers to all the systems and the infrastructure and the partnerships that we put in place so that all Larimer County residents can make healthy choices in their lives. It involves all of the educational and nutritional support services in our WIC program for families and their kids. It certainly involves all of the work that we do in environmental health to safeguard our natural resources, land, air, and water quality. And it involves all the mitigation work that we'll do in the coming months when we're seeing wildfire smoke and high ozone days. It certainly involves a lot of communication from our department, especially following the pandemic, to make sure that residents understand how we make our decisions and how we provide guidance to them so they know that science serves as the foundation for the recommendations that we make and that we are data driven. We want to be transparent with that so they trust the recommendations that we make to them. And SET certainly refers to all of the clinical services that we offer with health screenings and vaccines and preventative care to people who are underinsured or completely uninsured. And then finally, it involves a lot of partnerships with schools and a wide range of community organizations and healthcare systems so that we all come together to try to address the poor mental health and the declining mental health that we sometimes see in communities across the country. And certainly Larimer County hasn't been exempt from that. It's all of those systems and partnerships that we bring together that kind of set the stage so that when something threatens public health of Larimer County residents, we're ready to take action. And that's why I'll turn it over to Corey.
Good morning, Corey Sold, Communications and Technology Manager with the Health Department. Good morning, Commissioners, County Manager, all the team here. So when we talk about action, this is when what we've built, our planning, our systems, and our partnerships actually start to make a difference in people's lives. And in Larimer County, that action shows up in really tangible ways. It looks like monitoring air quality, issuing alerts, and making sure people, especially those most in need of knowing and most at risk, learn how to protect themselves. It looks like monitoring and responding to outbreaks, providing immunizations. You can see some of the pictures here when we're out in the community providing immunizations off-site, and working side by side with our healthcare partners to keep our community safe. It's the work happening every day in food safety, from training food handlers to inspecting our retail food establishments and helping businesses meet the standards that protect all of us. And it's how we show up in the community through outreach and communication, building trust, making public health information clear and accessible. Hopefully you've heard a little bit of our new podcast, which communicates information in an accessible way. And we help people make those informed decisions about their health. And importantly, it's about our community health improvement plan in action, partnering with schools and community groups to reduce isolation, strengthen connection, and improve overall well-being. And so at the end of the day, this is what action means. It's taking the planning, the partnerships, and turning them into real, measurable improvements in people's lives. Thank you.
Thanks, Corey.
We would be not as effective if we didn't have strong and dedicated Board of Health, as I mentioned earlier. As volunteers, they generously give their time, expertise, perspectives to ensure the health department has the resources, the support, and policy level advocacy needed to serve our community well. Their leadership strengthens our ability to make informed decisions and directly supports me in my role as your public health director. You know, public health works best when it works together in a system, and it includes our federal, state, and local partners. And that, when we're working together, there's a true strength. The history of public health here and the continued progress we are making today reflects on that exceptional strength and partnership between the Board of Health, the Board of County Commissioners, and our staff and the broader community. We are deeply grateful for the shared commitment and the spirit of service that drives it, because most days we hope nothing happens because we are doing our job. So thank you for your continued dedication to the health and well-being of Larimer County residents and visitors. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. I think the way we'll do this is we'll see if Commissioner Stevens or I have any questions. Then I'll ask Commissioner Stevens to read the proclamation. We can approve that. We can make some comments after that, and then we'll vote on the proclamation. And then I believe we'll all be required to take a photograph with the proclamation. So with that, Commissioner Stevens, do you have any questions for these fine folks?
I do have a couple questions. Thank you all
Wonderful.
for being here. So I first want to say that I understand the difficult environment that you're operating in right now, whether it's financially or, maybe some skepticism around certain things that are happening. Can you talk to me? Can you let me know if there is an uptick in need for the clinical services that you provide? Are you seeing that because of HR1 and other things that are happening in our community?
Yeah, that's a great question regarding our clinic services. As right now, it's actually down a little bit. We don't know if that may be due to some fear in the community due to coming to a government building. That could be. We are looking into that more through surveys. However, folks are sometimes fearful to provide that information. We have looked at the data from Dr. Jared Olson, our population epidemiologist, looking at before the Medicaid expansion around 2014, Affordable Care Act. Before that, our numbers in the clinic, which were extremely higher than they are now because more people had medical homes for preventive services. Once HR1 continues as its timeline, as you know, there are some things that progress for next year when it comes to Medicaid rollback. That's when we're more concerned that we will see an increase in numbers that may have had a medical home and our access to health care is the number one priority there. Ours is a gap filler for immunization and reproductive health services. So there is a concern that we will see an increased number on our clinic. As you all know, since 2014, we've reorganized the clinic under Andrea Clement Johnson's wonderful leadership for the current number we have and to be financially responsible. If those numbers were to increase, that could have a strain on our system. However, the great team is looking into that in ways that we can use continuous quality improvement to look at that, as well as leverage the best through fees and Medicaid ourselves to make sure we are ready for that increase.
Thank you. And then can you just share a couple examples? You talked about someone, I can't remember who, talked about the community plan. And can you just share some examples? I know that sort of making people feel welcome in the community, being less isolated, those are some of the concerns that we have because we know that there's health consequences if people are alone and don't feel part of the community. Can you just give a few examples of some things that you've done in your office to try to combat that epidemic of loneliness?
Yeah, thank you for the question regarding our community health improvement plan and the priorities of around increasing inclusion and social welcoming. A couple of things our team is working on with the greater community collaborative, over 60 nonprofits and others involved. We've really looked to rural Larimer County over the last few months and looking at red feathers and expanding opportunities for people there to gather, whether that's around the food pantry or the community center, and just convening people and creating those spaces. That's one. We're working with Berthoud on potentially a youth center in Berthoud. That would be fantastic because right now there isn't a place for youth in Berthoud like we do here in Fort Collins with Tech 212. We're also working with our community on what we call social prescribing. And that's really looking at the medical system when meeting with the individual, looking at holistic health, the mind, body, and the soul, that we're looking at times that we could encourage social prescribing or getting outdoors or joining certain clubs or certain groups that may be interesting to the folks. So that's a piece. And then always working with some of our more vulnerable groups like our veterans, our LGBTQIA our people of color, making sure they always feel included. So we're working with our communities to make sure we have spaces, safe spaces where everybody feels included. So that's been a wonderful effort under the Community Health Improvement Plan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Stevens. Thanks, Tom. I have a question. So at the March 26th Board of Health meeting, one of the discussion items had to do with the Fatality Review Board. Could you talk about that a little bit, what the county, the public health department's role is in that, and how that helps address things like teen suicide? And
Sure.
please.
Yeah, thank you. Data is the centerpiece of our work, what we call Public Health 3.0, being health strategists. When we talk about the Child Fatality Review Committee, I would be remiss to thank our Commissioner Cafalas, at the time Senator Cafalas, in 2013, around there, where a bill came, and you were one of the prime sponsors to get that bill passed, which has been wonderful. What it does is it provides a little bit of resources to the health department to convene a child fatality review committee, which is comprised of all of our sheriff deputies, our police officers, our EMS, our hospital systems, the coroner, and others, such as Alliance for Suicide Prevention, those folks. And they meet around quarterly, and they look at any death that was preventable in somebody under the age of 18. Now, I've attended one of these meetings, folks, and it's a difficult meeting because I have an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old. Sure makes you want you to appreciate them and almost put them in a bubble. But what we learn through the data, and it's fairly consistent even statewide and national-wide, preventive deaths for our most vulnerable, our most littles, our infants, is SID, sudden infant disease, where either it's co-sleeping or a situation within the crib, or the fluffies, or those things cause asphyxiation. So we are campaigning on those aspects, but that's still a very high preventable death of our youngest, most vulnerable. Our teens, it's still, you were talking about speeding and accidents. It's still trauma from accidents, whether that's a vehicle to a bike, a vehicle to a pedestrian, a vehicle to vehicle, or a vehicle on its own. The number one thing is distracted drivers. So we're always encouraging our youth to get off their phones, off the distractions, don't eat and drive, don't do those things. Be very, very cognizant when you're driving, as well as speeding. I know I'm having that conversation with my two kids every day about how these it's very dangerous in the vehicles. Also, one that is tragic in our community, we have seen a decline, and we want to see zero, is self-harm on our youth. So suicide is still one of the leading causes, especially for boys. Doesn't mean girls don't as well. They're just less successful, fortunately, for that. But those are top three causes of youth death that's preventable in our community, and that's something we're continually working to strive to prevent those deaths.
And isn't it correct? I mean, looking at some of the data, the charts, that we've had a fairly an important reduction in youth suicide over the last 4 or 5 years?
We have. We've been, I would say it's the social inclusion and working to make sure everybody feels included and has spaces or somebody to talk to. We have seen a decline. Is there more work to do? Yes. It strikes me as tragedy when we have a family with a child that's struggling mental health wise. Maybe they don't have the best insurance or no insurance or Medicaid or something like that, and they get put on a waiting list for 4 to 5 months. This is, actionable now. Now, we do have some systems in place, such as Longview Behavioral Health Center Acute Care. That's wonderful. But on those ones that don't rise to that level, that's still a challenge in our community, and it's something we're working on. And we're working very closely with behavioral health services and many of our other partners to break down that barrier, but everybody should have access to mental health care.
Great. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner, any other questions or anything? Then a slight adjustment to what I stated earlier. We'll ask Commissioner Stevens to read the proclamation, offer the motion. We'll hold off on voting on the motion, and we can offer comments and certainly invite our county manager to offer her wisdom. So would you please read the proclamation? If you guys are into standing, you're totally welcome to stand. If you need to go back to your seats and rest and then come back on up, get some more steps, that's all part of National Public Health Week. That's your call. Commissioner.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a joint proclamation from the Board of Larimer County Commissioners of the State of Colorado and Larimer County Board of Health. A proclamation designating April 6th through 12th, 2026 as National Public Health Week. Whereas communities across the nation observe National Public Health Week during the first full week of April each year, honoring the contributions of public health, emphasizing critical issues for improving the nation's health, and promoting awareness and prevention. And whereas the theme for National Public Health Week 2026 is Ready, Set, Action, recognizing the ways public health has improved our daily lives, safeguarded our families, expanded our lifespans, and strengthened communities. And whereas public health is not just for a single person, it is for everyone in our communities. Public health affects how we all live, work, and play, and it is an invisible force that protects our safety and well-being. And whereas public health efforts have increased the average American lifespan by 35 years over the last 150 years. And whereas by addressing root causes and barriers, communities can reduce preventable diseases and improve overall well-being, foster healthier populations, reduce healthcare costs, and build more resilient societies. And whereas having safe places to live, safe opportunities to be active, and access to safe, affordable, and nutritious food and water supports healthy living across communities. And whereas a strong and resilient public health workforce is key to keeping communities healthy and addressing the nation's most urgent health challenges, as public health professionals work hard to prevent disease, promote wellness, and protect communities. And whereas public health continues to prioritize health at every level, ensuring that everyone has the opportunity to thrive. And whereas the Larimer County Board of Health and the Board of County Commissioners of Larimer County each support the Department of Health and Environment's mission, working to provide everyone in Larimer County the opportunity for a healthy life. And whereas the vision of Larimer County Department of Health and Environment is that Larimer County is a thriving, health-aware community where everyone has access to healthy choices and a healthy environment. And whereas the Larimer County Department of Health and Environment brings together community partners, including organizations and community members representing underserved populations to address local health issues. And whereas the Board of County Commissioners of Larimer County, the Larimer County Board of Health, and the Larimer County Department of Health and Environment encourage everyone, including students, elected leaders, civic leaders, and residents, to step in and do what they can to make our county a more prosperous, safe, healthy, and connected place. And whereas the Larimer County Board of Health and the Board of County Commissioners of Larimer County both support the activities of the Larimer County Department of Health and Environment as it strives for a healthier future for Larimer County residents. Now, therefore, be it jointly proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Larimer County and the Larimer County Board of Health that the week of April 6th through 12th, 2026 is recognized as National Public Health Week 2026 in Larimer County, Colorado, and Larimer County Department of Health and Environment is encouraged to support activities in Larimer County to promote National Public Health Week 2026.
Thank
Done
you.
this 7th day of April 2026 in Fort Collins, Colorado.
Well said, Commissioner. Please offer the motion.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I move to approve the proclamation declaring April 6th through 12th, 2026 as National Public Health Week.
Great. Are there some comments you'd like to offer?
I will offer a few comments. Thank you all for being here. This is really important to acknowledge public health and the importance that public health plays in our lives, and the importance it does in not only creating healthier lives, but as was said in the proclamation, extending people's lives. As I said earlier, you're working in not the easiest circumstances and haven't been since COVID, honestly, with some skepticism about, science, some funding issues, and yet you all show up and do the work. And as was shown in the photographs that were shown earlier, you have a team of people behind you doing that work. So we're just so appreciative of the work that you do. I think the work around isolation and trying to make people fit in is so revolutionary, because I don't think we normally think about public health in that way. We think about vaccinations, we think about clinics, we think about, maybe restaurant inspections, but we don't actually think about the sort of whole body and what people need. And the way that you and the Board of Health have been able to pivot and really address problems as you see them in our community is really remarkable. So thank you all for your really good work. Your willingness to sort of pivot and do more work in the environmental space. We have a lot of concerns around air quality in our community. People's have, asthma and breathing issues that are exacerbated by poor air quality. And so you've jumped in where you've seen the need, and your leadership Tom, has been exemplary. You've always kept us up to date on what's happening and what trends that you're seeing. I'm really, really grateful for you and your team. This work is hugely important, I think more important than ever. And so kudos to all of you on National Public Health Week. I really appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. I'll offer a few comments if I try to be brief here. First of all, I certainly appreciate all the hard work that you guys do, and as the Commissioner Liaison, I appreciate my relationship with the Board of Health and always learn when I attend the Board of Health meetings. I think it was referenced and alluded to that oftentimes the work that you all do is taken for granted. So in this country, in most places, not everywhere, we take it for granted that when we go to a restaurant, we're not going to get sick. Generally speaking, we take it for granted that we generally have clean water. And so I think that's important to remind folks that behind the scenes there's a lot of important work that is being done to make sure that that public health infrastructure is indeed in place and operating properly. I just want to mention, too, that, I think, Tom, you might have alluded to it, and other folks perhaps. It's really great to see that the people out in the community at community events. There was a reference to the Red Feather Lakes Food Pantry, and a lot of credit goes to Joe and her partnerships with other folks. I think it's once a month we do something up there called the Connection Cafe, and the food pantry is really critical up there, and they gather every Friday, but once a month, I think it's the fourth Friday of the month. Our public health folks are there. Joe is there. Other organizations. It's a great partnership with UC Health, and so that's an example. I always like to go to community events like Earth Day or this or that, and often Leah is out there with the little FLIR camera, the little infrared camera, and other folks, and so that's wonderful to have that presence. And then certainly the community health improvement plan and the meetings we've had. Around that and the collaboration and the partnership. I think that's fantastic. Working closely with the health district and UC Health and other partners in the community, the Alliance for Suicide Prevention, Imagine Zero Coalition dealing with issues related to suicide in our community. So thank you for all of that. And then finally, I appreciate when you invite me to take a walk with you all. We had a lot of fun yesterday morning. Got to meet a very wonderful and strong therapy dog, Moose, and we took a mile walk or so, and it's walking the talk. No pun intended, I suppose. The importance of movement, and we learned about that last night with the presentation. It was great that we convened with the CSU School of Public Health and all the students. Commissioner Shattuck McNally was present. I was present. And the keynote person, a psychology professor, I believe, talked about work-life balance and the importance of self-care. So if I can do anything, I want to continue to communicate. Movement is important. Self-care is important. We don't always have to check emails at 11 o'clock at night, although I'm sure we do. So with that, thank you for listening. County Manager Volker, Lorenda, would you like to share something?
I'll just say a big thank you to Tom and the entire staff of the department. It's been interesting in the nearly 18 years I've been with the county, watching the department shift from Public Health 2.0 to Public Health 3.0, which is really about those social determinants of health. It's the things that affect us in our lives. You walk the talk with the Community Health Improvement Plan the work you're doing in outreach, working with partners across the state. So there are lots of local partners, but you all have built real partnerships with people across the state and across the nation, and you rely on that. You learn from each other. It's a really strong network, and it's been amazing to watch the leaps that the department has made in the past, 5, 6, 7 years. So thank you for all you do. Please go back and thank the staff. They do it every day. There are just a few of you here, but we know they're all back at home working on things with the community. And so big thank you to all of them.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Lorenda. So there is indeed a motion before us. Any further discussion, Commissioner? Then all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passes 2-0. We will now take a 3-minute or so pause to do the proverbial photo, and we thank our human services folks and our community development folks and our code compliance folks for your patience, because we have two really, really important items to get to after this. Okay. That was great, really important. Thank you to our public health folks. Public Health Matters. We now move on to our next discussion item, which is also a proclamation, and this is a proclamation to proclaim the month of April as Child Abuse Prevention Month and encourage residents of the county to help parents in creating a healthy, safe, and nurturing experiences for our children. I believe we have our wonderful Director of Children, Youth, and Families, the office, Mr. Thad Paul. Welcome, good friend and colleague.
Good morning, Commissioners. So this Thad Paul, Division Manager with Child, Youth, and Family Division within the Department of Human Services. Thank you for the time today. This is the first year since I can remember that you have me instead of Angela Mead, who retired in December. So apologies in advance. It may be a little briefer, but I took her lead and I wrote up something to talk about here today. So good morning, Commissioners and the members of the public joining here at home. We often hear the phrase, children are our future. But that future is built on the foundation of the safety they feel today. We are here this morning because that foundation requires our constant protection. Every April, there are blue pinwheels spinning in the breeze across the country. They aren't just decorations, they are symbols of bright, healthy, and uncomplicated childhood we want for every single person growing up in our community. This proclamation today isn't just a formal piece of paper, it's a public promise that we will not look away from the urgent issues of child abuse and neglect. So why do we do this every year? Well, as research shows, the impact of childhood trauma doesn't end with child turning 18. Adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, can create ripples of impact across physical and mental health generations, showing up in public health issues. However, there's a powerful counter message in the text of the proclamation today. Child abuse is preventable. Prevention doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens when we build a village of support. As you will hear in the proclamation, families are at their strongest when they have access to resources before a crisis occurs. A vast majority of the referrals we received are in relation to neglect, which is often resource limitations for the family. It takes the collaboration of educators, healthcare providers, law enforcement, community and faith-based organizations, and local businesses working together to build a safety net that catches families before they fall. So to understand the weight of the mission, we must look at the reality our neighbors are facing today. In the past year, Larimer County received 7,000 referrals involving over 5,500 unique children. To put that in perspective, that is equivalent to the entire student population of 10 to 12 of our community's elementary schools. Furthermore, 2,000 of those children required a formal assessment. That is equivalent to every single child in 3 to 4 of our largest neighborhood elementary schools. Children who, instead of focusing on their homework or their friends, were facing circumstances that required intervention of our safety systems. So numbers tell the scale, but stories tell us about the human lives behind the data and the opportunities. So I've got a few stories here, brief. I'll keep them brief. Take, for instance, Rosalie, and I got these stories from community partners as well as some staff in our agency as a little context. So I'll give an example of Rosalie. She's 87 years old, and Rosalie's life changed in an instant when she was asked to take her 13-month-old great-granddaughter, Gigi. Rosalie was still working, she hadn't changed a diaper in decades, and was terrified how she would manage. She called everyone for help, and it was eventually led to the Matthews house. The navigators became her angels, as her definition. They didn't just provide diapers, they helped Rosalie navigate Gigi's autism diagnosis, coordinated speech therapy, and actually arranged piano lessons in the future. Today, because of community navigators stood behind 87-year-old great-grandmother, Gigi is thriving. That is the power of prevention. It turns a crisis into a success story. Let's take Alex, a 16-year-old. Alex found himself stranded, facing homelessness, thousands of miles away from his home in Venezuela. His mother back home wanted a future for him, but here in Larimer County, his temporary safety net had vanished. With the threat looming and no family left to take him, Alex was running out of options. But this is where the village stepped in. Our community came together and brainstormed. His caseworker with DHS worked tirelessly with staff at the Landing Youth Shelter to find a path forward. Through the Unaccompanied Refugee Minor Program, they didn't just find him a bed, they found him a lifeline. Alex was able to move to a home where the staff spoke his language and understood his culture. Today, instead of facing the streets or a detention center, Alex is in a stable home, continuing his education and working towards legal status. That is what prevention looks like. It is the innovation and persistence required to ensure no child, regardless of their origin, falls through the cracks. And lastly, a story showing us the resilience of our neighbors. Just last month, a mother named, we'll use initials SD, was facing eviction with her 4 young sons. She didn't know where she would sleep. Through the Early Childhood Navigator program and in partnership with Care Housing and Habitat Restore, she didn't just find an apartment, she built a home. She connected with Safe Care program to ensure her home is a sanctuary for her toddler. With the weight of homelessness lifted, she is now pursuing her higher education. This is what it looks like when we come together and provide resources before a crisis. We don't just keep a family safe, we allow them to thrive. These aren't just isolated success stories, they are evidence. They are proof that when we invest in each other, the village will come. We will fundamentally change the trajectory of children's life in Larimer County. So to wrap it up, we're calling on everyone in Larimer County to join this effort. You don't have to be a professional in human services role to make a difference. You can advocate, you can volunteer, or you can simply offer support to a parent in need. By proclaiming April 26th as Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month, we are recommitting to an equity-driven approach where every child is valued and able to thrive. I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Thad.
Yeah.
Commissioner Stevens, do you have any questions for our presenter?
Yeah, thank you, Thad, for being here. Can you talk about, are we seeing decrease in child abuse, or we're seeing increase, or we're seeing increase in acuity or the severity of some of the situations?
Our assessment numbers have been pretty flat for many years, even with the population growth. So you would anticipate seeing more referrals, and generally we've been pretty flat in the referral. I think there's a lot of amazing work that happens in our community from a prevention lens, so they are helping to help serve families before they ever enter our front door. That's our priority. when DHS has to knock on a door for a family, we bring our own level of trauma to that situation. So in an ideal world, the community is helping to support that so that crisis never happens. I would say absolutely. I don't know that we're seeing more acuity in the referral narrative itself, but the families are absolutely in a different acuity level. There's just less resource in the community. I mean, you guys we're all having budget challenges, and those resources are dwindling across the state, and so that does create avenues where there's less availability to support, and so the issues rise and build on top of each other until you have a more significant moment. And there's a pretty significant behavioral health, mental health need in our community, substance use disorder need for sure. So I would say our acuity, especially our youth, have really high acuity needs that we see in our system.
Thank you. Thanks, sir.
Thanks, Dad. I'll offer one question, and that is, and it's related to what the question that Commissioner Stevens asked. Over the years that I've been here, we have really focused on prevention, of course, and it's great that you shared those success stories. Stories matter. Would you say a little bit about our focus on, if indeed, for the safety of the child or the children, there has to be a placement, how we focus on kinship care and if there has to be foster care, it's kinship care or other family members, and try to avoid group settings or congregate care. Please.
I appreciate you bringing that question up. I actually had that in my initial presentation, so I pulled it out. So that's a great segue. Yeah, you and I connected, sir. So there are occasions that our goal is to keep children in their home. Even when we go out and do an assessment or an open case, our goal is to mitigate the risk and safety concerns and allow the child to remain in the home. There are occasions that you can't mitigate that risk and safety that then require the removal. And maybe a quick myth buster. There's a myth out there that DHS can go knock on doors and take custody of children, and that is a myth. That is not something that can happen, so I just wanted to lay that out there. Law enforcement is the only avenue, or a court order are the only avenues that we can actually take custody. When we do have to take custody, our primary goal is kinship, and there's been a lot of legislation in the last several years at the state level to help really support the level of kinship, use of kin in our state. Obviously it makes all the sense in the world, right? Like your family already knows the child knows the family, it's culturally connected, and the outcomes are clear. In all the research, the outcomes are clear about how much better kinship placements are. The reality is that you may not always have kin options. So we then try to prioritize Larimer County foster homes. So that's local foster homes. And what I did have in here that I had taken out is we have a call for action in our community. We need more Larimer County foster homes. Absolutely, we are at a deficit there. We actually have more kids, almost as many kids in child placement agencies, which are kind of private foster care versus county foster care, which works in their family-like settings, but oftentimes they are outside of our community, and then they are removed from their schools and their friends and their location to their family. So we would love more opportunity for folks to apply to be foster parents with Larimer County. Feel free to go to our Larimer County the government page. You can go to the Human Services page. There's a little button you can click on there to figure out how to become a foster parent. Our last result is congregate care, and congregate care is this group setting. So it can be group homes, it can be residential facilities, it can be hospital level settings. Right now we have 10 children in congregate care settings. That is a really small percentage that rise up to that level. But when they are in that level of care, that's the most high acuity youth that we have. And there are occasions that we actually have to have kids out of the state because we don't have a facility in our state that's able to take them. I believe that even those kids in those high levels facilities could be best served in a foster home, maybe a therapeutic foster home, with really intense wraparound and smaller number of kids in the home. And so there's plenty of opportunity to continue to support those kids in a different way. Putting a group of kids that are struggling all together in one setting is a little bit of a recipe for disaster long term.
Thank you, Thad. One quick follow-up question, and then we can go on to read the proclamation and offer the motion. And that is, what is the role of the county when adoption is the proper course of action?
So we don't have a huge number of adoptions in Larimer County, partly because we work really hard to reunify. What adoption means is that ultimately we were unable to mitigate risk and safety of returning them home, and so they needed a permanent setting. And so there's actually two categories that I might highlight. There's adoption, which is the standard. You're adopted to a family. Sometimes it's kin, sometimes it's non-relative that become near forever parents. But there's also RGAP, Relative Guardianship Assistance Program. That is, you don't have to have the tier of full termination necessarily to get to an RGAP placement, and that is kind of a lower level tier, but also allows the permanency for the children. Ultimately, what happens when you are adopted or you receive an RGAP, you get a subsidy. The family is assessed for a subsidy to help support the individual specific needs that aren't supported by Medicaid or other sources, to allow families to take care of them. Our goal, we don't want to become an adoption agency. Our permanency focus is families and their primary caregiver, and there are occasions that we have to do it on that path.
Thank you, sir. At this time, I'll ask Commissioner Stevens if you would be kind enough to read the proclamation and offer the motion.
Yes, Mr. Chair. So this is a proclamation for Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month. Whereas the safety and well-being of children are fundamental to the strength and future of our community, and child abuse and neglect remain urgent issues that demand our collective attention, action, and commitment. And whereas every child deserves to grow up in a safe, stable, and nurturing environment, free from harm so that they can reach their full potential. And whereas the effects of child abuse and neglect are significant and long-lasting, causing profound childhood trauma that impacts physical, emotional, and mental health for generations to come. And whereas research shows that preventing adverse childhood experiences, ACEs, and fostering positive childhood experiences significantly improve lifelong health, educational outcomes, and economic stability. And whereas families are stronger when they have access to the resources, support, and opportunities they need before a crisis occurs, and strong families create safe and thriving communities. And whereas effective child abuse prevention requires the collaboration of child welfare professionals, educators, healthcare providers, law enforcement, faith-based and community organizations, businesses, and families, all working together to build protective factors and strong support systems. And whereas we recognize the dedication and tireless efforts of child protection workers, law enforcement personnel, first responders, human service agencies, and community advocates who work every day to protect children and strengthen families. And whereas we must continue to address systemic barriers that put families at risk and commit to equity-driven approaches that ensure all children have an opportunity to succeed. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Board of County Commissioners of Larimer County, do hereby proclaim April 2026 as Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month in Larimer County. We call upon all to join this effort through advocacy, education, volunteering, and offering support to families to create a community where every child is safe, valued, and able to thrive.
Thank you, Commissioner. The motion, please.
Oh, yes. I move to approve the proclamation declaring April 2026 as Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month.
Excellent. Are there comments you wish to offer?
Yeah, I'll offer a few comments. Thank you, Thad, for being here. You did a wonderful job. Although we miss Angela, but you are. We appreciate your leadership in this space, and I think thank you for highlighting the prevention piece and the importance of giving people the resources they need. We don't want families to move into a crisis situation. It is hard. We are living in an environment that's very difficult right now, with dwindling resources, with people having to work multiple jobs to be able to put food on the table and afford their housing. That's a role that we can play as commissioners to try to work on the housing piece and the other things that help people feel stable and create good homes. But there are a lot of challenges right now, and so I think that really calling on the community, not just those of us and those of you who work in human services, but really calling on the community to say we need to do this work as a community. And so how can we all sort of help resource families that are in need? And so there's a lot of ways you can volunteer. You don't have to be a foster parent, although we'd love you to be a foster parent if you have that ability. My family did that when I was a kid, and it was a great experience. My mom and I were just talking about how wonderful it was to bring some children into our home. but there are many ways that you can offer. You can help nonprofits that help families. There are diaper drives and all kinds of things that families need to be able to be successful. And so, I hope we can highlight some of the things that people can do to really do that. But thank you for the work that you and your team do. Child protection workers, that's got to be some of the hardest and hopefully most rewarding work. But I always say that I feel like it's the most important work that we're doing is protecting children, helping them thrive, helping families thrive. I can't think of any more important work that we do in the county than that. And so please thank your staff, and we're grateful for the people that are. Did you bring a few?
Yeah, I got a few.
Okay, they're a little bit in the back. But we're really grateful for the work that they do, and we know how hard it is. Well, I don't personally know how hard it is. I can imagine how hard it is, though. And we are just grateful that people are willing to do that hard work to take care of kids and families. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll just offer a couple of thoughts there. Don't want you to get off too easy. First of all, echo what Commissioner Stevens has said, all of those things. I certainly appreciate you as a human being, and certainly you do the day-to-day stuff, and your expertise and your dedication and your competency are very evident. You also do a lot of work in the policy side of things, so I totally appreciate when you and your team engage, when our Human Services Director, Heather O'Hare, working with Lori, who's kind of helping to oversee some of that, Lori Kadrich, our Assistant County Manager, you guys engage with on the policy side. And where that helps me a lot is as in my role as on the State Board of Human Services. And in fact, last Friday, one of the rules that we considered regarding child welfare related matters and making things more efficient, having to do with identification and all of that in the weeds kind of stuff, you were very instrumental in being part of the stakeholder group that helped put that together. So thank you for your policy work. Thank you for your on the ground work and supporting your team, the emphasis on prevention. As we often mention when we talk about the little ones, we want to make sure how are the children, and I think we do our best to make sure that they're as well as they can be in light of the fact that a reality is that there are children that are abused and neglected, but we do our best to prevent that, to help those families if things are getting out of sync. And where it's necessary, we'll get more involved. The child welfare, child protection, and that of course is one of our fundamental required responsibilities as a county that administers a lot of human services related stuff, public health stuff, and all the rest. The people perhaps forget that child welfare, child protection is a quote mandated, required responsibility that we do not undertake lightly. So thank you for all of that. And I also wanted to mention that my sister-in-law, who lives in Loveland, was a foster care mom for over 10 years. And that person aged out. The person is 30 years old, has a family, is a CNA, just got accepted to MSU to work for a BSW. Cool. And there have been challenges along the way. And this person was subject to pretty nasty abuse back when she was a child. But we still have that relationship, and it's a beautiful thing. So, and I'm wearing this this little teal, I believe it is, ribbon, because in addition to Child Abuse Prevention Awareness and Prevention Month, it's also Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month as well. Thank you. Lorenda.
I guess I'll just add that the county does so many of these invisible safety net services. We hope that most of the community doesn't need the services that we provide, the support that you all offer to families. It is not a scary intervention. It does not have to be. And I hope people heard those examples that you gave. Staff have really big hearts and they do really hard jobs. But the goal is to keep the child safe and where possible, keep that family safe. So thank you for the work that you do. It is sometimes invisible, but it is not unseen, not unappreciated. We do value it. And this is one time a year when we can say thank you out loud, but know that we're grateful all the time for the work that you do. I'm going to do the shameless plug for foster care. It is larimer.gov. And then if you just type in the word foster in the search box, you will come to the right page with all the right forms and information, larimer.gov, and then just type in the word foster.
Thank you.
Thank you, County Manager Volker. There's a reason why you're the county manager. Appreciate those specific reminders about where folks can go to be part of the solution. With that, we have a motion before us. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passes 2-0. Now we do one of my favorite things, which is pause to take a picture. Thank you. Okay, we're back. We took a pause for some photographs regarding the most recent proclamation having to do with Child Abuse and Prevention Month. Hang on a moment.
Hi, Commissioner.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you.
Oh, yes.
I could hear you before, too.
Okay, Commissioner, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Okay, I believe now we'll move on to our third and final discussion item. This is in regards to a grant award letter, intergovernmental grant agreement. I'll let the presenters give the details, but it's a pretty exciting thing. It has to do with the county working with the state and other partners having to do with capping orphaned wells and other things to clean up oil and gas sites. And we have our wonderful
Principal planner.
Principal planner. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Commissioners. Matt Lafferty, Principal Planner, Community Development Department. Thank you, County Manager team. I'm here today with Matt Sura, who is our Special Counsel for oil and gas matters. So, welcome, Matt, to come up at any time and offer any comments as well. I have a short presentation, and then we'll go through that. I'm sorry to say that Director Gonzalez left, but this is an action item in our Community Health Week. So, as a action item, I would like to thank him for bringing that forward. I hope that this item, which on the next slide, is to accept. Back one, please, thanks. This action item is for the county commissioners to accept and authorize signature of any grant agreement pursuant to the Energy and Carbon Management Commission's awarding of $5.2 million to Larimer County for the plugging and decommissioning operations associated with the Prospect Energy oil and gas sites that have been abandoned and entered into the Orphan Well program. Next slide. Before I enter into that, I want to just remind the county commissioners what we've done over the last 6 or 7 years as it relates to air quality, water quality, and the protection of the environment. First and foremost is the result of Senate Bill 19181. Larimer County adopted some substantial oil and gas regulations. This was done with the help of Matt Sura and our county attorney's office and others. We came up with some of the most stringent regulations in the state regarding oil and gas matters. That led us to the opportunity to do other things. Next slide, please. First and foremost, it allowed us to actively pursue operators within Larimer County that were flaring gas or having equipment that was leaking and presenting emissions into the air or to the ground as a result of oil and gas operations. We purchased a forward-looking infrared camera, which was presented with the Director Gonzalez's item. That allows our health department to go out and look directly into our environment and see where we are emitting gases and other things that might be harmful to the health of our residents. And so you can see a couple of photos here where the flare camera was used, and you can see where there was some flaring going. Next slide. In addition to that, the Larimer County Health Department, in cooperation with various municipal partners, got approval and put in several new regulatory ozone and NOx monitors across the community that allows us to measure and identify where our ozone layers or ozone and gas emissions are coming from so that we can better manage what's going on with our environment. Additionally, we locally funded the Regional Air Quality Commission's mow down program that allows people to get electronic mowing equipment and other equipment to move away from using gas on our equipment and to reduce air emissions associated with that. So these are things that are positive that have been happening in our community for the last couple of years. The next item on the next slide is a first of kind operation that we're going to do here in Larimer County. We've worked diligently over the last couple of years with the ECMC, which is the Energy Carbon Management Commission, to identify a system whereby we could hire an operator, we being the county, to hire an operator to go out and plug and decommission oil and gas sites that are part of the oil and gas or the orphan oil program. Those items that are in the orphan well program are part of 1,300 wells that would be probably taking 10 to 12 years before they would be plugged. We have 50 wells in Larimer County that are currently in that program. 10 of them lie in Fort Collins, and the other 40 within the unincorporated parts of the county. It's in what is the Prospect Energy oil field that was abandoned earlier last year. And this oil field was discovered first in 1924 and developed over about a 60-year period. It has some outdated equipment that is leaking. We have pipes that have busted, and we have various environmental issues that go on with that. That operator was asked by the state after numerous fines were levied against the operator to quit operating in the state, and they were their license was removed and their oil and gas field was abandoned. And that's where we lie today. So this program will take care of those issues. I want to share a couple of pictures of what this looks like. The next slide You can see all the red dots here. Those represent more than 50 wells, but a lot of those wells are already plugged. But 50 of those red dots represent current wells that are active in Larimer County on the site. They're all shut in, meaning they're not operating or producing anything at this time, but they're only shut in by valves. Valves can be open, they can leak. We can have various problems with them, and we would like to have these wells formally plugged and treated as abandoned. Next slide. What these wells look like out in the field. Here's a couple of them that still have production equipment on them. They're not functioning, as I said, but some sit out in the field very far from local residences. Others, as you can see in the lower right-hand picture, are directly adjacent to residential uses. And we have some that are even closer and in neighborhood parks that we would like to get those closed down. Next slide. Other wells look like this in the field. They've been decommissioned. They no longer have the production equipment on them, but they're still active, and you can see that those wells just have open valve stems on them. They could be opened at any time and can leak and whatnot. Next slide. We also have sites where there are open containers that are leaking materials. You can see where there's some spills here. We have some wellheads that have broken equipment on them, and they could be leaking as well. There's a picture in the lower right-hand corner of electrical lines that are coming out of the ground. We do not know if those electrical lines are charged or not charged. We hope that they're not working, but kids get in the area and roaming around, they can come up with one of these dangerous areas. Next slide. Here's a couple of existing tanks that are on one of the sites. As you can see, there are leaks at the base of this tank that are causing ground contamination, which could impact our groundwater supply. So we want to get these tanks cleaned out, removed from the sites, and recycled so that they're no longer on site. That'll allow the state and the county to come in and work on doing soil remediation to clean the soils and recover it with putting in natural new soils. Next slide. So where are we going to go with this project? The next step is for Mr. Sir and I to continue working on finalizing a request for proposal, which will allow us to hire an operator to come in, an oil and gas operator to come in and help us decommission these sites. The first thing that we'll be doing is prioritizing which plugging operations will happen in what order. So out of the 50 wells, which one should we do first? Which ones pose the greatest threat to our community, whatnot, and allow us to move forward and start plugging those wells. Along the lines with that, we'll ask that the operator engineer how the wells will be plugged. There's different methodologies for plugging different wells and at what depths you have to put plugs in and do whatnot. They will also be asked to submit forms to the ECMC to authorize us to do the work on the wells so that their inspectors can come out and help us with decommissioning these sites. We'll then move into plugging each of the wells and decommissioning the flow lines. Flow lines are the lines that carry the product away from the wellheads into places where they could be put into trucks and hauled to other locations. Those flow lines can leak and have had issues in the past, and so these flow lines will be identified and they will be cleaned and they will also be plugged to make sure that they're not leaking. And then finally, we'll ask for the ECMC to cause inspections that we've completed the work properly so that we can work with the operator to pay them and then get reimbursement from the state on plugging these wells. So the $5.2 million that we're receiving should reimburse the county in its entirety for any of the plugging operations that occur. And this should not cost our community anything in the end. With that, I would go to the next slide, last slide. I would just like to acknowledge everybody that's participated. I believe this is our team. It starts with our leadership from both the city of Fort Collins and Larimer County. It involves Julie Murphy and her staff down at the ECMC for working with us diligently to cause this to happen. And of course, all the players that have been involved in this process. So I appreciate and offer my gratitude to each one of them for their efforts. Thank you. Any questions?
Well done, Mr. Principal Planner Matt Lafferty. Before we ask our questions, I'm sure there will be a few. Are we going to have our consultant come up and add to this discussion? The fellow came all the way up from wherever he lives. Matt, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if you're please introduce yourself. You know how it works, and maybe share a little bit about your role in all this and why your expertise and your consulting have been instrumental over the last number of years since Senate Bill 19181 that our good friend Matt Lafferty pointed out. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Matt Surra, Special Counsel for Larimer County on oil and gas matters. I don't want to take any credit at all. I was lucky to be a part of such a great team. The community development department is fantastic, as is the county attorney's office. They work so well together. I was able to bring some of my background, and I think that together we were able to accomplish a lot. And I'm really excited about this next chapter. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for being succinct. Hang out. You never know. There might be a question for you. We'll begin with Commissioner Stevens. Let's focus on questions at the moment for our principal planner and for our consultant.
I will do that, although I really want to do the
And then we'll go to Commissioner.
Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
We'll go to Commissioner Shattuck McNally.
Perfect. Just a couple questions that I have. First of all, can you talk about the time frame? How soon do we think that, I know you have to issue the RFP. I imagine it takes a while. What kind of time frame do you think we're talking?
Thanks for that great question, Commissioner Stevens. We look to wrap up the RFP within the next week or so, get it out on the streets and have an operator online by hopefully June, July timeframe. And then as soon as we can get all the forms submitted that we need to the state and whatnot, then we can begin operations. So hopefully later this summer we can begin the operations. And then depending upon how smoothly this goes, year and a half, 2 years, we're supposed to be completed by the July of 2028. But if everything goes smoothly, hopefully we can get that done a whole lot sooner.
Wonderful. And then will there be a way to keep the public informed about, will you do quarterly updates maybe, or twice a year, let us know kind of what's happening, or is there some kind of public facing document that we can point folks to so they understand, where maybe the company that we hire is working at the moment and what they've done, and some of the answers even in the future about soil remediation and kind of what's been found.
Sure. Also a great question. I look forward to hopefully we can use the oil and gas webpage that we currently have online to provide some notifications and whatnot. But I was also hoping that before we actually mobilize and get people out in the field working on this, that maybe we could have some sort of an outreach, maybe have a day in the park over in Hearthfire, which is a subdivision where we have a lot of these wells, and there's a park there next to an oil well actually, that we can actually talk about these issues and let the property owners in the area know that things are going to be going on in their community and where they can ask questions and hopefully alleviate any concerns before we even start the operation. So that's something that we're going to be talking to our operators about and seeing what we can do before we start this.
I love that idea. That sounds great. Reclaiming the park, I think, is a really great message. And also, just a thing that I would love to see is we saw some before and after shots would be really great, because some of that is it's just there's some. I am more concerned about the health concerns, but there is an aesthetic element to this too, and it would be nice to see land that was formerly used for oil and gas operations being sort of reclaimed as parks or open space or property, just open property. So I think that the before and after will be really telling. So thank you. That's all my questions.
Thanks, Commissioner. And please send us the presentation with the pictures. I think that would be very helpful. I'm sure all three commissioners would like that. At this time, Commissioner Shattuck McNally, do you have questions?
Yes, I do, Chair Pro Tem. Thank you. To the two Matts and to the team, I appreciate all your comments, and I know we're going to make comments in a minute, but I wanted to say I like the park idea. One of my questions was Commissioner Stevens asked about public outreach, and I think that would be great to help all of us see the before and after pictures. And the time frame was helpful too. That was the other question I had. But the one I've asked you yesterday, Matt Lafferty, was, and I think I brought this up to Matt Surra when we had talked earlier, are we going to be able to maybe do some research, since this is the first one in the state to do kind of soil samples and air quality, and maybe even looking deeper in the soil to kind of see before and after, to see not only the aesthetics and seeing it, but actually having data to look at the soil health, the air quality health, and also how are we going to evaluate the groundwater? Because that's a concern. The longer that this is why I'm excited, because the longer that the site sits leaking and being a health hazard, the more groundwater might be in danger, or the soils might be getting more contaminated. So I'm wondering if we've looked at that, maybe looking if there's a graduate student or someone, or maybe the state's interested in studying the before and after with some of the soil samples and air quality.
Madam Chair, Shattuck McNally, after we spoke, I went and did talk to Leah Schneider with the Department of Health and Environment, and she's already had some conversations with CSU and some of the people that are working on oil and gas matters over there, and offered up some opportunity to how can we gather data and whatnot. So it's being looked into. We don't have any clear answers on that right now, but certainly we'll want to take a look at that and see if there's a way that we can capture and identify information that would show the benefits of what's going on. With regards to groundwater and the potential for groundwater contamination, the whole idea of plugging a well is that there will be two plugs that'll be put in most of the wells, one just below groundwater levels, and one just above the groundwater levels, that is intended to keep any matter of oil or gases or anything like that infiltrating into the groundwater supply. So the plugging operations should help to improve that situation drastically.
Wonderful.
Go ahead, Matt.
No, go ahead. Finish up, Matt. I have one more question.
Matt Sir is going to offer some advice too.
Yeah, one further point is that we are going to find some soil contamination. Hopefully that soil contamination hasn't led to groundwater contamination, but we know that we're going to be moving some of these tanks and other equipment, and we'll be finding some soil contamination. That's immediately going to be reported to the Energy and Carbon Management Commission, and we expect that they're going to take quick action on those contamination sites when they're found.
Thanks, Matt, Sarah. I appreciate that. And then, the flow lines, this is part of the grant and part of the remediation or decommissioning. Those, until recently, we really weren't sure the extent or where some of these flow lines were under or where they were all at. And I know the whole state's been looking at that closely. Is that a whole different process with this, because it also might have leaks in there, or how is it just a plug? How are we evaluating, or what does that look like going forward to deal with the flow lines, which are not always seen from the neighborhood but are under the ground?
We know of where the flow lines are associated with the current Prospect Energy sites. The project that we have that we're involved in will take the flow lines and will identify where they're located. We will remove the flow lines on the pad sites, meaning where the oil and gas operations are. Pardon me. But we will cut them back to the edge of those. When they're removed back to the edge, all the fluids and materials will be removed from those pipes and properly disposed of at our landfills. And then those pipes will be actually plugged. They will put plugs on the end of them. And that will result in the termination of our project. We'll replace the swales around it and whatnot. At a later point, when reclamation of the sites occurs, as well as any remediation occurs, the oil and gas orphan well program will come forward and they will consider how to remove those flow lines, or whether or not they'll just be abandoned in place. And that will involve a conversation between the Oil and Gas Commission, ECMC, and the property owners at that time. Is there anything you want to add to that?
No, that's perfect.
Is there anything else, Commissioner Shattuck McNally?
No, sir.
Well,
That's all the questions I have for right now. Thank you.
thank you. And in a moment, we'll see if folks have comments to offer. We need to shower these folks with accolades and all sorts of things. I have two questions. One for Principal Planner Metz. Goes into my hearing aids. One for each of the Mets. My first question is, why is this $5.2 million intergovernmental agreement grant award unprecedented? That's for you, Mr. Principal Planner.
And I'll ask Matt Surrey to chime in if he wants to. But
of course,
with the adoption of all the new regulations and rules that occurred at the state as a result of the Senate Bill 181, it was identified that the Orphan Well Program would cause to do a series of work to plug and abandon all the wells that come forward in the state of Colorado. And there was language put into the rules that said that that communities such as Larimer County and whatnot could approach the state, and the state would formulate a program to allow communities to advance the plugging operations in their communities and being reimbursed for that. And nobody ever acted on that, and the ECMC had never formalized any of that process. And Mr. Sura had identified that in the regulations and prepared documentation and proposals, and that's what we presented to the state, and the state awarded us the money based upon that. So we're the first to pursue this as it's outlined in the current state regulations and rules for oil and gas matters.
And before we turn it over to Matt Sura, isn't it correct, Matt Lafferty, that the timeline that you mentioned earlier, that if all goes well, we might be able to clean up these sites within 2 years or so? That's also unprecedented. Had we not been as proactive as we have been, it could be 10 years or something when this stuff gets taken care of?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Cavallis. Great question. As we said earlier, there's approximately 1,300 wells that are currently in the Orphan Well Program across the state. Some of those are really messy sites and have a lot of issues associated with them. And so the Orphan Well Program goes through and they identify and prioritize annually the wells that should be plugged as best they can based upon the staffing levels at the state. After that, nothing gets done until the next cycle. And so we're intervening in that cycle because we've identified that the state is not spending all the money that's coming forward in this program, not because they don't want to, it's just they don't have the staffing to do the work that's there. And so we're assuming a lot of that work by taking on this project and helping them out. And in doing so, it allows us to move forward those oil and gas wells in our community quicker than they would have probably been approached by the Oil and Gas Commission.
Thank you kindly. Matt Sura, is there anything you wish to add to this particular question?
No, honestly, Matt Lafferty has learned a lot over the last few years. We've worked together, and he could basically take my job at this point. So I don't have anything to add. He's nailed it.
Great. Then may I ask the question that I have specifically for you? Again, not to let you off too easy, and that is you're being very, I would say, a bit humble in terms of your role in all of this, and it was a great partnership with Matt, and to Matt Lafferty's credit, a lot of expertise has been developed over the years. But what was your role in helping to foster partnerships, collaborations with a variety of jurisdictions along the Front Range, which in my view helped to create a sort of a synergy or an alignment that, collectively the commission needed to understand that jurisdictions really wanted to make sure we address these issues. We have proper rules and regulations on oil and gas. Would you comment on that, sir?
Sure, happy to. Larimer County has been really a leader in the oil and gas area for a while, and I've been, humbled and proud of being part of that. And one of the issues that we were involved in many years ago was the financial assurance rulemaking. That financial assurance rulemaking at the Energy and Carbon Management Commission was where I had the opportunity to say, look, there should be a role for partners this co-equal branch for surface issues around oil and gas are the local governments, and they should have a role in being able to plug and abandon those wells and make their own priorities as to which well should be plugged first. And the commissioners agree, and that is was something that didn't actually even make it into the rules, but into the statement and basis and purpose in the rules, that they would entertain such offers. And so we've been pushing on that probably for the last year and a half. And it has finally now come to fruition, and I can't wait to plug the first well.
Thank you, sir. Okay, let's see. Commissioner Shattuck McNally, would you like to offer the motion, and then we'll provide comments, feedback to our folks, and then we'll vote on the motion. Would you like to do that?
Certainly.
Oh, I guess you don't have. You don't have it in front of you, do you?
Well, I have it. I could get to it in 10 seconds. I have it. I know where it's at, but I would like to make the motion if you could give me 10 seconds. But are we going to make comments after we make the motion, Mr. Chair?
Yes, that is correct. You have 10 seconds.
Okay.
I just thought I'd try to be nice, and
And that is very kind. So, hold on. I've got it. I thought I had it.
Take your time. It's good. It's good for all of us to pause a little bit, take deep breaths.
I have it in front of me. Just have to get to the second page. Hold on. I would move to approve the Energy and Carbon Management Commission Orphaned Well Program Intergovernmental Grant Agreement.
Thank you, Commissioner. That is a fine motion. At this time, would entertain comments, feedback to our presenters. Commissioner Stevens, would you like to offer some pleasant thoughts?
I will. I'll try to offer some pleasant thoughts. Thank you, Commissioner. Just a lot of gratitude for the work that you've done to make this happen. And I expressed that yesterday when we were introducing this in our work session. And I was glad to see the list of the team that worked on this. And I don't even know if we can call that slide back up, but I think it's appropriate to acknowledge all the people that were involved. Although I want to give special kudos to Matt Lafferty for his work on this. As Matt Sura said, you are definitely an expert in this field. And but want to thank the people in the room that are here: Leslie Ellis, Rebecca Everett, Lori Kadrich, our county manager, Lorinda Volker, for their leadership in this space. So I think that, this is definitely a team effort. I am sorry that the folks from public health left us, because Tom Gonzalez and certainly Leah Schneider was a big piece of making this happen as well. And this is a public health issue, that has been in our community for a long time. We've heard from the community advocates, and I want to thank them for their advocacy in really bringing awareness to the issue of the smells and the leaks and the problems that they dealt with as they were neighbors of these oil and gas wells. They had to deal with a lot of that for a long time. So we had the first celebration, which was when Prospect ceased operations, and that was a big deal. If that was a good news item, this is a great news item, because now we're really going to finish the job and plug and decommission those wells and make it safe for people and get that industrial equipment and leaking and the soils remediated. I mean, it's such a big deal to make sure that happens for all our community members. So this is going to help with air quality. It's going to help with soil health. It's going to help with groundwater. It's going to help reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. So it's definitely a good public health news item. And as I said earlier, it's also, there's an aesthetic. I mean, nobody wants to live around this industrial sort of waste that is there. It's a blight, and to get that cleaned up and for people to not have to see that every day is a really important piece to restore those parks and those neighborhoods to the condition they ought to be in. And it's just a big reminder for us that industrial uses don't belong in neighborhoods, and oil and gas operations don't belong close to homes or parks. that's something we don't want to see, and that's why we've looked to zoning and other regulations to make sure that doesn't happen in the future. So just want to just really thank all of you that are in the room, and thank the people that aren't in the room that worked on this, because this is a big deal. This is really important. Getting those dollars to be able to do that, to be able to do that work quicker than we thought we might be able to do it, not having to have people in our neighborhoods wait for 10 years for that to be cleaned up is really important. And so taking the initiative to try to pursue those $5.2 million, not chump change, not pocket change, but really, transformative dollars in our community, and to plug in and decommission 50 wells is remarkable. So for everyone in the room who's gathered here, we're just so grateful for the work that you did. There is a lot of modesty in this room, and I respect that as well. But I'm here to say, you did a wonderful, wonderful job, and our community and we as commissioners, thank you very much.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Shattuck McNally, comments?
Thank you. Not to be repetitive, but just my heartfelt gratitude to both Matts and to everyone. I think you both, I agree with Commissioner Stevens, a lot of humility in the room, but it took a team, and the team, whether it was us as a board pushing for this and finding the funding to bring on Matt Sir. I remember all the way back to Linda Hoffman and Leslie Ellis and that team, including our county attorneys who all worked to bring on Matt Sura. And even before that, Matt Lafferty, before I became a commissioner, I was at one of the first oil and gas town halls when we were talking about having any kind of oil and gas regulations after SB 181. And I asked you then, I don't know if you remember that conversation about, you already have a lot of work you're doing with community development. There's a lot of things to consider here. How are you going to, start to learn and learn all these new regulations all on top of it? And you said, well, we're just going to learn as we go. And I don't know if you remember that conversation, Matt Lafferty, but I do. And I think now where we're at, I never imagined we would be here. And actually, within 2 years, have these plugged in and decommissioned and heading our way towards reclamation and making this about public health, safety, and welfare, and not only for the neighborhoods, but for the region and for our groundwater. And it's just tremendous partnerships, tremendous thoughtfulness, and a mindset of possibilities. What can we do together, and innovation. And pushing our state partners to even think about, how can we do this differently instead of waiting for 10 years for the priority list on the oil and gas abandoned orphan wells to slowly be dealt up with, and hopefully we would move up the ladder. And for Vaughn and Amy, who lived in that neighborhood for years and had to deal with this and kept pushing and advocating and lifting their voices, and all the community advocates who lifted their voices about the conditions they were living next to, and the air quality, and the headaches they have, and just dealing with the environmental and health impacts, which, our Leah Schneider and our health department were out, documenting, and we got the FLIR cameras, and we got Fort Collins to partner with us to get Prospectus shut down, and they've been shut down, and now there's more work to do. And to think of that, everyone kept pushing and thinking, we can do more, we can do better, we can partner. And thanks to our Fort Collins partners, and thanks to Lorenda and Lori Kadrich and Leslie Ellis and everyone who worked with us to empower our staff, like our community development staff, and Matt Lafferty and Matt Sura, and our county attorney's office, to work together and to collaborate to come out with this great outcome, with a great outcome from our community. And for those folks who wouldn't stop raising their voices that this was a big concern, thank you for not giving up and pushing for everyone's benefit. And it's a tremendous day, and hopefully we can bring others on to show other local governments in the state we all work together to show that maybe other communities can venture and give this a go-to. The lessons learned, I'm sure, and I can't thank you enough. I said yesterday it was a good news Monday to start off a great week, and here we are continuing today. And I just congratulate and commend you all. It took each and every one of you. It took us all to kind of empower each other and help each other to get through these, to get to this conclusion and this outcome. And I'm really proud of Larimer County and our partners and the ECMC were working with us as partners as well, and even the state health department. It took everyone to say yes, and what can we do together? And I think it's a really good testament about local governments working with state governments for great outcomes. So I can't wait to see how this progresses, and appreciate the opportunity to call in today and to be able to listen in, because I wanted to learn more. Thanks so much, and congratulations to you all.
Thanks, Commissioner. I will simply say thank you to one of my favorite principal planners and one of my favorite oil and gas special counsel attorneys. The team effort, as everyone has said. I'll just put 2 exclamation points on everything that's been said. There's not much more I can add. We keep moving forward. I think it is important to remind folks who may be listening or watching, I bet Leah Schneider is watching, that this is, I think, just another example of the county's dedication, commitment to shared values that we have. I think regardless of where you are on the infamous spectrum regarding politics and policy, we can all agree that clean air, clean water, and clean land, like parks and things like that, are shared values that everyone, I think all of us in Larimer County have. So this is an embodiment of that. Thank you, both of you, Matt, and certainly all the other folks that have been involved.
I just appreciate that. Thank you. And I just want to also mention Cassie Archuleta with Fort Collins, and the city of Fort Collins has been an extraordinary partner on this issue all along from the very beginning, and I know we'll continue in that role.
Great. Thank you for that important comment, Matsura. Lorinda, you're on.
I guess I'll just say again, the state has entrusted us with $5.2 million. This is a direct testament to the team. Matt, you're very humble, but someone had to keep the team together and keep it moving forward, and so thank you for playing that role. I know there were a lot of folks involved and thank you to all of them. 50 wells to be shut in is pretty amazing, and to be closed. It'd be great if we could show that map in the future with some maybe green instead of red dots or something, so people can see the progress over time. Thank you for sticking with it and for publishing that RFP.
Thank you, Lorinda. And we have a motion before us. Is there any further discussion? I wish to quickly offer that thanks to our public affairs folks, I just got a notice, breaking news, thanks to the press release that was sent out yesterday. It's already in the newspaper that we're doing this to enhance public health, safety, and welfare. So credit to our public affairs folks and other folks who assembled the press release so we can get the word out and further demonstrate that we do our best to do the good works. So there is indeed a motion. Let's see. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes 3-0. Have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, my goodness. We move right along here. We now go to, we've completed the discussion items portion of the agenda. We now move on to county manager updates.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'll keep it pretty brief this week. Commissioner Shattuck McNally and I attended the liaison meeting with Thompson School District, Town of Berthoud, City of Loveland, Larimer County. Those are really helpful meetings where we can talk about shared experiences. In particular, Berthoud focused on their growing acquisition of natural areas for conservation. And it was great to see a map of that partnership between the town of Berthoud and the county. Special thanks to Megan Flanagan for her work with the town. It was it was something to be proud of, and I'll let the commissioner speak a little more about that. I also attended with you all the Climate Smart and Future Ready Momentum and Milestones in Year 2 event. Thank you to Heidi Pruis and Abby Stapleton for putting that on. The keynote speaker was inspiring and appropriate for the event and well enjoyed. It's good to celebrate the kind of things that are really happening. A lot still to be done, but a lot has been done, and that was wonderful to see. And then finally, every couple of weeks I meet with the sheriff. He and I met last Friday and had a chance to catch up again, and those were always helpful collaborative meetings. So I will leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, County Manager Volker. Let's begin with Commissioner Stevens. Is there anything you would like to share regarding Commissioner activities for this past week?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Falls. I'll just add just a few things since we're running a little later than we might normally. Wanted to mention that Commissioner Shattuck, McNally, and I were at a community town hall at the ranch on last Tuesday evening. We had quite a pretty decent sized group, not quite 50, I think, but close. And we answered a lot of questions about the grounds. We got to see where the new event lawn will be and the progress that's being made there. We talked a lot. We had a lot of questions about the commitment to 4-H, and reminded folks that we created a not quite 20 million, but close to $20 million building on campus for the 4-H activities that Connor and his team will be working with 4-H members to create an archery shooting range, and that there will always be space for 4-H on the campus, and that we will, the McKee building, as of right now at least, is still in the plans to stay. So, and then a lot of questions about, the hockey team, the Eagles, and whether they'd be staying and what their, and Connor reminded folks that they would have to sign a 2-year lease if they wanted to stay longer than they would, and certainly they've been good partners with us. And so really great questions, really great engagement from the community in that. Was at negotiations for human services at the Capitol on Wednesday. We are still trying to hammer out something with the state so we can revise how we do human services so we can stay within our budget and maybe absorb some of the costs that are coming with HR 1 and some of the penalties that we might occur for having error rates. So those negotiations continue. I think that they're going quite well, and we're starting to get to a place where we will have a bill that will come out that will kind of inform what we'll be doing in that space, at least in the near term. Then had a lot of transportation meetings. One of the interesting things from that came up in the STAC, or the statewide Transportation Advisory Committee, was that CDOT will be doing work along the roads for mitigation for wildfires. They have saved some dollars because there was not a lot of snow. Dollars that would have normally been used for snow removal can now be used for wildfire mitigation. So they will be doing that work in our community and other communities along the Front Range and the mountain areas. And then just that some of the work that they're doing on EV charging stations that work is proceeding, even though there's some loss of federal dollars in that space. There are still state dollars available to do that, and that out of the scenic byways that Colorado has 26 named scenic byways, 20 of those are electrified and have electric charging stations on those, so people can not only have charging on our Front Range areas, but in the areas that we all like to visit, those charging stations are available as well. So I think that was great work, and that sort of leads into the work that Lorenda said. We had a Climate Smart and Future Ready program to celebrate the work that's been done, and just there again want to give kudos to Abby Stapleton and Heidi Pruis for their work. They are a mighty team of two that does amazing work. They've managed to gather 50 community partners that work with us to do the work that we want to do on Climate Smart, Future Ready. So folks know this is about reducing greenhouse gas emissions, but this is also about the resiliency work that we need to do, the wildfire mitigation work that they would do. And just one of the things that I wanted to say is there's a massive return on investment. First of all, they've leveraged a lot of grant funding. They've added $16.9 million to our portfolio. And for every dollar that's invested by the county, and that's not just our dollars, but like I said, some of these grant funds, the community realizes a benefit of between $2.50 and $7. That that includes reducing fire danger and improving water quality. There's so many things that this work does. It's not just about climate and greenhouse gases again. It's about improving our quality of life, improving our air quality, improving our water quality. And so just really kudos to Heidi and her team of two for the work that they're doing, and a great celebration with a lot of community members. And then finally, I'll just end with the fact that I was honored to be on a panel with Ezra Klein from the New York Times. We talked about the abundance movement and some of the work that we're trying to do. When we talk about abundance, we mean an abundance of affordable housing, of renewable energy, and of multimodal transportation and public transit. So to make our communities there again more livable, better, and so that everybody has an opportunity to thrive, in keeping with the public health theme. Housing is health, and we know how important that is. So that is it for me. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Shattuck McNally, I understand you'd like to give a brief activity report.
Yeah, just wanted to echo a few things from Commissioner Stevens and Lorenda. Yeah, the Climate Smart Future Ready, kudos to Amy and Abby. Also to Jordan Barak of Mighty Arrow Foundation, who was our guest speaker. I believe she brought kind of an interesting spin on things, thinking about how Star Trek and sometimes science fiction helps us. Some leaders who are science fiction fanatics are also maybe always considering possibilities, and I believe that's what the work of our Climate Smart Future Ready and the work of the teams and the action teams, the objective teams that Heidi has and Abby have just so masterfully stewarded and helped keep going. And it was a great conversation. There's a lot of community partners from our municipal partners and nonprofit organizations and CSU that we couldn't do this work without all of them being active and present. And thanks to Heidi and Abby for giving us a chance to celebrate. I think sometimes these days we have a lot of work to do and we have a lot of competing priorities in front of us, but I think it's good for all of us to take a moment and breathe and recognize how far we've come and the work that has done. Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Stevens. It's really important for the public to know about every dollar invested, we're getting $2 to $7 back. I do think wildfire mitigation, every dollar we invest in wildfire mitigation and resilience, it's sometimes even up to 13, as the U.S. Chamber of Commerce has recognized that number for wildfire mitigation, and very important work. Yes, we had a great conversation with our partners with the City of Loveland and Town of Fort Berthoud and the school district. We all shared some challenges. As we know, all three school districts are looking at some challenging budget constraints, and so that was good for us to hear. Also, yeah, congratulations to Berthoud on they're getting ready to start moving forward on that plan with the outdoor pool area and the arboretum and all the trees, and a very specific theme of their agricultural roots with a center pivot being a swing. And the community's had a lot of input with that, and there's a great partnerships with the town, working and having some feedback with our Megan Flanagan from our Natural Resources has been a very great partner, and down there helping folks understand conservation easements that have really been important along the Little Thompson corridor. And it's a great connection as we work backwards up the Little Thompson corridor for some land that we partner with Boulder County for protecting riparian areas and waterways and some cultural and biodiverse sites, which is kind of also, I know, a priority for our Department of Natural Resources with its master plan. So good partnerships, very excited about that, and we're looking to bring all of us together maybe after these elections for all the local government officials to maybe get an extra a little bit of training and understanding how our Office of Emergency Management works, and how, if we are to have a wildfire or natural disaster, how are these, for these new folks, how does this work, and where do they plug in, and how do they get information? So looking forward to bringing that together with our partners across the county. I had my first in-person wild mountain pine beetle outbreak task force up in Genesee. We had a lot of folks in the room, a few online who couldn't come in person, and we worked all day long. It was quite, with the facilitators working on a structure and finding some work committees and flow plans, and a lot of work was done, and there's more work to do, and we're going to probably add some more meetings before June to get some recommendations out for the short term for immediate education awareness for the public, but also some actions, and then for the fall, and then long term and even longer term after that, because this will be a marathon of a response and strategy for this outbreak that is a new outbreak, and as you know, in our ponderosa forests, which is at lower elevations and closer to populated areas. And so important for that work. And we also had our Forest Health Council. The Forest Health Council will be here this week in Larimer County doing some tours, and we'll be at Front Range Community College as we, some of the work we did with Senate Bill 5 in 2024 or 2023, excuse me, brought some expanded funding and outcomes and programming for Front Range Community College in terms of forestry and wildfire work, and it's exciting to have them come and learn more about some of the programs around CSU and Front Range and Larimer County. So we're not hosting, but they're here in Larimer County, and I'll be attending those the next couple of days. And then again, the town hall, I think it's great. Thanks for receiving questions. And I had a community conversation in Loveland, and a lot of those folks who are not 4-H oriented came to the town hall on Saturday, and they asked even more questions about that and fire restrictions. So I was able to ask some more questions from folks who wanted to further talk about the ranch and the master plan. So that's all I have, and thank you for allowing me to give the report over the phone. And I hope you all have a really good rest of your morning.
Thank you, Commissioner. Let's see. I think I'll share a couple of things that I think folks may want to hear about. One is I attended the Fort Collins Habitat for Humanity annual fundraiser breakfast We Build at Poudre High School. The students helped show us how they frame houses. They raised over $120,000 that morning, which helps to start the construction of a new house. And there was some really great updates. I attended the Department of Natural Resources spring staff meeting later that morning, and a lot of good discussion. They do have a lot of fun together, simulations, trail building, all kinds of things. Zach Weeb gave a bit of a presentation, the history of the Poudre River Trail, and folks may know that the official opening of the Poudre River Trail, the ribbon cutting, will be June 13th, and there'll be, I think people are excited about that. Also, I would remind folks that the Larimer County Department of Natural Resources have an excellent annual report for 2025, and folks can access that by going to the website. A lot of good information there. On Thursday, I attended the SAVA Summit, and that was very powerful at the High Country Beverage. This is the Sexual Assault Victim Advocacy Center. Their keynote speaker was actually a survivor, Jeffrey Epstein. He raped her in 1991 when she was 22 years old. Very powerful event. That evening I attended the Overland Trail Daughters of the American Revolution Patriotic Awards ceremony at the Covey. They do that every year, and every year we get to hand out the medals and the certificates, and it's always a very inspiring thing. I'm very glad that I was able to go. Friday, there was a presentation from at the Behavioral Health Services Acute Care Facility, Longview, regarding the Colorado Health Institute presented. I brought some information from my fellow commissioners, but they presented the Northern Colorado version of the Community Health Access Survey that they've conducted. So there's a lot of good information in there that folks might have of interest. And it was great partnership with CHI, Health District of the Health District of Larimer County. Our Behavioral Health Services Director, Amy, was there, and a bunch of other folks. So I think I did other things, but I can't remember now. So that's all I wish to share. Therefore, at 11:19 a.m., we are officially adjourned. Thanks to Cassidy. Thanks to our deputy who keeps an eye on things. And I hope you all have a nice day.